Hi everyone, and welcome to Seminar 3, Vlog 4, this one on drills. In this seminar, we will be looking at medial and lateral hops. I think it's important to work out of the sagittal plane, especially in plyometrics. This drill will help us learn how to produce high levels of unilateral force and vectors that should help our change of direction. For the start position of the medial and lateral hop, we want to be in an athletic position with our power leg down on the ground, and then that same side we'll be terming our power arm. It'll start just behind our hips. What we'll do is we'll watch the drill here at full speed, and then we'll break it down into a technical model. We want to initiate an explosive push, in this case through the medial aspect of the foot. We want to use an aggressive arm drive to help increase the amount of force through our lower body. From some of the research we've read, we can jump higher as well as run faster by using the arms as opposed to the legs only. In mid-flight, we should see the arm being pulled back to help deliver another explosive drive. And in this situation, we want to minimize ground contact time, and we want explosive, forceful pushes off each leg. The last jump, we should try and land in a controlled fashion to demonstrate the ability to eccentrically control ourselves as well as absorb force. And then the drill is repeated on the other aspect of the foot. We need to remember that there are 4 edges to work. So to make it simple for our athletes, we will do the right leg facing one way, and then on the second time through we'll do our left leg. So that way we get both the medial and lateral aspects of each foot. The sagittal plane provides us a good opportunity to look at some of the angles. You can see with my shoulders are slightly internally rotated, and that will create a bit of a rotational component while I start to drive, but this is more of a capacity issue of mobility as opposed to maybe a technical skill that I'm lacking. As we go through to the landing, what we want to see from a technical perspective is the torso should be parallel to the shins. This is indicative of a good landing technique with our hips back and a slightly more even distribution of the force upon landing between our knees and our hips. This is important for injury considerations, as we've seen there's literature to support that a higher hip position on landing has a higher chance of knee injury. One of the cues we use for our athletes when they go through the landing phase is we want to try and have them sit back in a chair when you land, and this encourages them to sit back and distribute more of the force through their hip musculature as opposed to their knees. So now we'll get a chance to look at a few of my athletes performing the same drill. Our first athlete here does a good job at driving through, and a reasonably well done job of absorbing the landing appropriately. Our next athlete, great arm control, good vertical drive, but lacks a little bit of the ability to sit down into the landing and absorb appropriately through her hips. Center of mass is too high. And we see the same thing with this third athlete, who lacks a little bit of potentially posterior hip strength to help eccentrically control herself. Whereas our next athlete, we will see starts to lose control of her arms and then cannot recover to drop herself down into a steady position. I'll now show you a regression to the full hop drill. It can also be used as a progression to an exercise such as a hop and hold or a hop and stick drill that might be more appropriate for developmental athletes or athletes looking to eccentrically control themselves. So in this drill, we're going to allow a small bounce in between. This will give the athlete more time to get their arms in the correct position. As well, it will still force the athlete to learn how to use the stretch shortening cycle approach to creating more force, but the force requirements will be lower because the mini bounce in between isn't quite as high as the full hop.